to reconvene our open meeting and ask you to stand please for the pledge. Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There is not a report out of closed session this evening. Ask for a motion to adopt our agenda. Second. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Two changes. One's page 7. It should read James Kelly in the first paragraph. Perry mentioned that. And on page 19, the Trina Billick should be read 6 hours, or 6 hours per day, 5 days per week, and not 5 hours per day.
All those in favor of the agenda as amended? Aye. Opposed? Carries 5-0. We have recognition tonight of PTA reflections. Jennifer Baker. Are you ready? Yes.
Thank you so much for having us here. I'm Jennifer Baker. I'm very pleased to recognize tonight our division winners at the school level for the 50th National PTA Reflections Contest. The PTA Reflections program is a wonderful program, and I'm so passionate about this program because it recognizes kids for their creativity. We sometimes pull creativity out of kids in the most unusual places, and in this forum, kids have a chance to develop and explore creativity in ways that they never have before. So today we recognize people that are artists in the making, and it's really beautiful to see what the kids have for us. So I hope you enjoy our program. There are 6 categories in the Reflections program, and so music composition, dance choreography, film, visual arts, photography, and literature. And the students are grouped in 5 divisions by their age. Students have to complete entries on their own, so no adult or student help by a friend is permitted. The students in our district can enter as many times as they like. So tonight we have a student who won 2 division winner ribbons because she entered in more than 1 category. In fact, Lauren can't be here this evening, but when she started the Reflections program, this award-winning entry of hers from 1st grade still stands in my PowerPoint presentation, and I think it's the epitome of the Reflections program. She grabbed a piece of paper out of the recycle bin. Her mom probably would have blanched if she knew she turned it in. It was cut. You know, something else had been on it, and she said, "Your skin is different from mine. Let me show you that many things are different. Ladybugs are different from bumblebees, so that's the way it is. Beautiful." This year's theme was Heroes Around Me. So let's meet our division winners. Division winners, this might be your first opportunity to come and be recognized. This is what I'd like the students to do. When you hear your name, come on up. I'll shake your hand, but all of these lovely people here want to meet you too. So would you walk around the oval so that they can shake your hand too, and then you can make your way back to your seat. First today, we can be heroes every day. Taylor Jones. Come on up, Taylor. Congratulations. So Taylor, you're going to make the rounds right here. You're going to just shake everybody's hand all the way around, and I'm going to keep announcing names, so don't be surprised. You can go all the way around. This is Margaret, and she's going to show you how to do it.
Congratulations.
I hope you get a chance to read the artist statements as the kids are coming around and I'm announcing names, even though you might not be able to read their actual literature entries. The students are evaluated in this program over 50% on what they say in the artist statement and how they connect that to what it is that they turned in for their entry. Then Taylor, you can go back to your seat. At the end, kids, we'll come up for a big picture. In Literature Amazing Heroes, Aiden Dwight. Congratulations. Division winner from Top of the World and intermediate level, Maya Rice. Good job. Division winner in literature, now a middle school student, Lauren Troutenberg. Lauren was not able to be here tonight, but we can give her a round. You can see a little difference in her writing from that first screen. That's exactly what this program is all about. Division winner in literature from Laguna Beach High School, MJ Walker. Julia, did you want to bring the awards? You'll do it afterwards, okay. Each of the schools has had an opportunity to recognize their students, so the certificates and ribbons that they've earned have been presented, except for the high school students, and tonight we hope to give those awards when we take the picture at the end. In musical composition, Adrian Pashek. Supervillains and sang lyrics. Do you see those lyrics? I love it. Division winner from Thurston Middle School, also Lauren Troutenberg, who wrote a 4-part work for strings. So again, I'm very proud of our strings program, and I'd say here's a direct connect of what kids are able to do when they extend music into their lives. So congratulations again to Lauren. In photography from Top of the World Elementary School, Grayson Krishkovia. Photography at Top of the World Elementary School in the intermediate division, Layla Aleknevius. And I'm not sure if Layla is here yet. Layla, are you here? That one takes me back. Division winner at Thurston Middle School, My Peter Pan, Ava Knepple. The cutest little brother ever. From Laguna Beach High School, Clara Becker. And as Claire's making her rounds, if you have a chance to, yes, as you have a chance to read her artist statement, you can be filled up with the things the kids are connecting to our theme, Heroes Around Us. In visual arts, from El Moro Elementary School, Taylor Jones. There's a tea-time winner for 2 wonderful entries. Congratulations. I made the winners so at least make your job this time. Good job. Beautiful. Visual arts from Top of the World Elementary School, Emmy Brene. Come on, you take it too. We want this to be fun. Look at that busy bee. Beautiful flowers and food for us. From Top of the World in the intermediate level, Ethan Robbins. From Thurston Middle School, Charlotte Theory. Kindness is my hero. Beautiful. From Laguna Beach High School, Ziggy Molteni. Art is my weapon. Very clever. Congratulations. This This is a 3D entry, and in my career with Reflections, 3D is a new level in our program, so I'm really excited to see what the kids come up with. In film from Top of the World Elementary School, Madalena Orvala. Madalena, did you make it? And finally from Laguna Beach High School, Ada Tunke. Congratulations. Let's hear it for our division winners. Before I get the division winners up, I want to do two things. I'm holding this because Victoria wanted to remind me that all of the students are going to get a fabulous looking cookie from the back. So don't leave without your fabulous cookie from the back. Also, we'll take a group picture up here before we go, but I want to thank my superheroes. So please, special thanks to Julia Becker, Jennifer Brezgoyak, Carol Kennedy, and Amelia Montgomery for helping. Truly, our superhero this year was Jennifer, who stepped in and put on an amazing Top of the World celebration, all of the artists. So thank you for that. I think it's been 12 years. Congratulations to Jennifer. I think it's been 12 years since Julia and I started working together on this program, which it seems like a lifetime ago when our girls were so young. We figure at this point we've touched the lives of about 1,000 different students who have entered this program. And we've seen it impact their college careers and their lives. So we're very passionate about this. I know you are too, but thank you so much for allowing us to support this in such a public and meaningful way. So students, come on up. We're gonna give you a round of applause after you get your picture taken. No offense, but we're gonna put the tall high school students right here so that this can be our background. If you're a little bit smaller, could you come up to the front? And if you're a parent up there, Julia, maybe you can help the little ones make a nice right here. If you do have a certificate, hold it face out, and if you don't mind, put your ribbon hanging down on it. Yeah, there you go. Excellent. We have all our kiddos. Sorry.
Oh, my water. Oh, good job. Good call.
All right, kids, we're gonna look right this way. Everybody look to the right by the clock. Smile, cheese. Now we're gonna look to the middle. See the high camera right there? Everybody look to the middle. Big smiles, cheese. And then we're gonna look over here to the left by Grandma, cheese. Excellent. Thank you so much for coming this evening. And kids, I'll meet you back at this
Jennifer,
beautiful
thank you
picture.
for all that you're doing.
We're gonna take a 3-minute break, just because they're all gonna transition out, so one of us just say hi, get on.
I've had my children in the Laguna Beach School District for over 17 years, and I've never had any issues. I've always loved the district. Why did it change? About a month and a half ago, I was put on bed rest due to a very high-risk pregnancy due to, don't want to get too far into it, but there was a lot of bleeding and I couldn't stand that for that long. I required almost full-time care that I couldn't get at home. While I was under the care of my mother, who was giving me the support I needed, my daughter was kicked out of school due to a residency verification being performed at that time. principal of our school, Mr. Conlon, was completely aware of my medical situation and that my doctor ordered no stress during this time. This was back in October, about a month and a half ago. Yet he relentlessly pursued the investigation, totally disregarding my doctor's orders, my health, the health of my baby, and my own, and any implication towards my family. The treatment we received during this time, I would go as far as to say it was malicious. I believe my daughter was really being kicked out for a different reason entirely. The teacher requested a meeting about a month and a half ago, around that same time, right before. I was told that our daughter had a sensory issue, and there was also mention that it was embarrassing for the school due to some parents asking about it. Ironically, within an hour of the sensory issue diagnosis, I was requested to provide further residency info. I found out from my daughter that afternoon that she was, the year before, was put into Mr. Conlon's office and asked about where she lived. I never had any prior knowledge of this. He admitted it, that he had done that during our meeting, and he also said that he had told the staff that they would wait until they got the summer residency paperwork to look into it. So the big question, why do you choose to launch this investigation the following October, the exact same day she was labeled with a sensory issue? If there was concern, why weren't we asked and investigated last year or during the summer? It doesn't make sense. When I met with Mr. Conlon the following day, I let him know I was on severe bed rest and the doctor required little or no stress during my first trimester. He told me to provide the residency documents and everything would be fine. He told me a doctor's note with my condition was not necessary. He provided all residency documents and fully complied. Days before Christmas, we received a call that he had hired a private investigator to follow us. That was on the 2 days, ironically, I had emergency medical appointments, and we definitely stayed at my mom's to have her help me do my extreme bleeding. He also yelled at me repeatedly during that conversation, you and I both know that you don't live in the district, why don't you just admit it? I felt bullied. I reminded him I was under my mom's medical care, still on bed rest, and could not have stress during this time. His advice to me, homeschool her or enroll her in another district. And he also told me that there wasn't a question that we did live in the district at some point, but not now. And he said regardless, that no matter what, my daughter would not be allowed back in January, no matter what. I met Mr. Keller at the district office. He took a written report. No one bothered to follow up with us at all. I was informed by Donna Todd that she couldn't find any record of my report, nor my request.
Excuse me for a minute, can I interrupt you, because we do have a 3-minute time limit.
I
And
understand.
we just did an extra 30 seconds, so can you wrap up?
Yes, I can, 100%, thank you. So she couldn't find any report or anything that I had put in my request for the inter-district transfer even. I tried several times to contact Mr. Newberry as well, but to no avail. Unfortunately, I lost the baby last week. The whole situation has been very stressful. Can you imagine the stress of having your 6-year-old kicked out of school just days before the major holiday, trying to transfer her within 2 days before the break so she doesn't miss school, with her mom basically incapacitated. Her whole world was changing, and now she had to go through the stress of transferring mid-year. I would like to request the district to investigate all this, how it was handled, the behavior toward my child, and also the timing of this issue. Why couldn't it have waited until after my bed rest? Why was it so critical during the most vital and important part of my pregnancy? And how is an investigation thorough with someone following you for 2 days when you've already made it very clear that you're on bed rest and someone else is taking care of you? Also, I just want everyone to investigate why the sensory issue and why an hour and a half later. I feel it's a little bit of discrimination. Who did this benefit? Absolutely no one. We provided everything we requested, they requested and more, but despite getting all the evidence that he requested and requesting time for my medical condition, it was relentlessly continued the investigation, and it was heightened. A life was lost because of this. If you could please look into it, I would really appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and I'm sorry I ran over.
Thank you. Is there any other public input? If you did fill in, if someone did fill a card out. Okay, we move to our reports. Student rep, are you doing a shared report? Okay, let's start it. Okay.
Okay, so Laguna Beach students are working hard to studying for finals, and they're looking forward to the new semester. Thurston and the high school are anticipating the upcoming 3-day weekend to study before finals starting Wednesday through Friday. At Thurston, the play Seussical Junior will be taking place at 4 o'clock p.m. and 6:30 p.m. this Friday and Saturday. Thurston will also be having their first ever film festival in late March. Students are encouraged to create their own 3 to 4 minute video displaying how they give back and how they exhibit kindness. And entries will be due on March 1st. Students at El Moro have been preparing for the talent show coming up on February 7th at the high school arts theater. The jogathon and jump rope for heart activities are taking place to help students stay fit for a good cause. And the Learning Club, also known as the TLC After School Tutoring Program, began today with volunteers from the AAUW, helping students who were referred by their teachers with reading, math, and homework completion.
This Thursday at the high school, Top of the World students will be visiting to sing about anti-tobacco use during lunch. ASB will be handing out shirts tomorrow that promote anti-smoking and are encouraging students to wear them on Thursday. Throughout this week, there will be anti-stress activities being held in the library during lunch, hoping to relieve stress before finals. ASB is also working hard to prepare for the upcoming winter formal in Bell Assembly. This year's theme is Clue, the Mystery Winter Formal, and will be held at the Nixon Library on February 2nd. The formal court this year includes Addie Briggs and Dylan Boucher, Corinne Nadera and Fernando Barraza, Sophia Ballier and Will Clark, Ashley De Palma and Colton Gregory, and Phoebe Radisay and Liam McHugh. For an update with challenge success, the student survey will be administered in the next few months. This should provide insight on academic stress and challenges students face in our community. LBHS will also be working with the newly adopted Thought Exchange platform, allowing students to share their input and perspective on a new bell schedule to benefit all students. Breaker Athletics started Sunset Conference League play last week. Boys and girls basketball and soccer, as well as wrestling, are all competing in the Wave League. Girls water polo is our only team in the surf league for the winter season. All of our teams have competed well in preseason and are now looking to qualify for CIF playoffs. The Sunset Conference is providing us with outstanding competition that is pushing our student athletes to compete and improve every week. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? We just encourage you to use your leadership positions when we have the surveys and the student input. We're really trying to get as many students as we can to be compliant. Thank you. Lisa, Sarah.
Yes, we have sent out our survey in order to obtain member input for negotiations on what articles they might be interested. And then we will present our Sunshine Agreement with those articles in there at our next meeting.
Margaret, the CSEA.
Well, CSEA would like to welcome Dr. Keller to our board and the district. And CSEA will be having their pre-negotiation meeting on January 22nd. And we will be going over our survey and preparing for the 2 articles that we will put into the Sunshine Letter. Elizabeth Phillips and I will be attending the governor's budget workshop tomorrow in Ontario. And we would like to really thank the district for the inclusion of the associations in attending that if they wish to do so. I also attended the SEBA Summit in Temecula as the association member on the board of directors for our SEBA program. And I'd like to say one other thing to Ryan Zeta, that he, along with maintenance and operations, going to have a group dynamics training along with CSEA to just bring the group together, and that's exciting. We've done that a couple of times before, and it really builds the relationship from the different sites. So thank the district for that.
The board members, any reports from an assignment that committee assignment that you attended? There hasn't been many.
You just leave it right there, you just turn it off.
Yeah.
I attended the endowment meeting, as many of us have experienced in our portfolios. Their portfolio is down, but it doesn't really matter because they're not planning to sell anything, so you don't really lose money unless you sell. And they're in there for the long term, so it's really just fine. They just kind of were kidding each other about it all. They were very enthusiastic about the fund and me, and Dr. Gloria did a great job talking about it, and we'll hear more about that.
I have nothing to report.
I also sat in on the endowment and, as we said, and then I attended PTA council, their first meeting, and it was, a quick meeting, but Dr. Glory did address, some concerns that have been circulating in the community on, the health curriculum. And so he really gave a good clarification, well, actually Chad gave a great clarification of explaining the standards versus framework and the, reaching out to public input and to correct the, misstatements on Nextdoor, that wonderful Nextdoor site, that there is no longer any doubt. So hopefully then that goes before PTA presidents, it came, and they can, when they hear that for sites, they can correct the information. So that was very helpful. Dr. Gloria.
Just at that PTA meeting, we also continue to talk about their fundraising efforts, and I just so appreciate all the work the PTA does to fundraise on behalf of our students and all the work they do, just like tonight with reflections. So I know we're working on helping to find ways to expend their money on behalf of all students, and so I really just appreciate that ongoing dialogue that they have with us and the openness to ask a really good question about how best can we expend those funds on behalf of students. So that's all I have.
Lisa.
As Margaret had mentioned, there's a group of us going to the governor's budget workshop tomorrow for his January proposal. We're looking forward to that, and we'll summarize that information and give an update for the school board. In addition, you might have heard the high school alarms going off today. That was intentional. We're finally gonna have a certified theater. So we're gonna be in full compliance. We're gonna start seeing those certification, closure certification letters coming through for all of our projects. So great job by Mr. Zeta running that project.
Thank you. Alicia.
Yes, so three pieces from instructional services. First, our Spanish Parents Workshop series is coming up. We have a 3-part series. We'll have English speaking translation services available with Hector Mesa. So the first meeting is January 24th up in the 90s, and we're excited about that. Second is Dr. Mayberry is coordinating with site principals to completed one of 4 of our LCAP meetings. It's the second in the series, but we're specializing at sites. So those meetings are underway. And then finally, this Thursday night, from special ed, under Irene's leadership, school readiness, we'll have a focus at Annalise's site. Annalise is hosting a training on mental health for students, particularly for preschool students. 6:30.
So did you say the LCAP is going to different sites?
Yes, so meetings 1 and 3 for stakeholders will be at a district location, but the second meeting is specialized at sites.
Okay. Thank you. We move on to our consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that board members need to pull off? Is there any public input on the consent calendars? No, I don't see any. So I will ask for a motion for items A through K. Second. Thank you. Are there any small questions on the consent calendar? Our student reps have any questions on the?
Well, no.
Oh,
We did, sorry. I'm perfect.
board members, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. Thank you. We have a number of activities tonight, and our first is item 13, a journey to an integrated K-12 social emotional learning system. Gloria.
Alright, well, my partner was unable to make it tonight, Dr. Keller, so I'm gonna try to do my best to fill in on his portions. And But having presented this now with him on several occasions, I'm hopeful that I can do justice. And so as the board is aware, we presented this similar presentation at both the mental health conference, the National Mental Health Conference, as well as most recently at CSBA. And so with that, and yes, and I'm really proud, she's on the next slide. And Peggy was also part of that as well. And so as a kind of an outgrowth of the conversation after CSBA, I thought it would be a good opportunity to provide this presentation to the board in a very truncated fashion, because we're not going to spend an hour. Much of this you have seen before, so but there is some updated information, and I think it to provide in the process a real nice understanding of kind of the journey, and that's really what we were speaking about to other school districts and or providers, healthcare providers at these different conferences. So I'd like to point out there I'm 10 years younger, and probably outside, but so Laguna Beach Unified School District profile. This is fluctuates. We're just around 2,900 students. Our free reduced lunch numbers are coming in. We're still working through that and just had CBEDs. So it ranges, as we know, at times. We have a high achieving, high expectation school district with strong community support. And our funding, which often makes the audience gasp at times, is roughly around $18,000 or higher at times per student. As we decline in enrollment, that per pupil goes up. And the audible gas typically are in California school districts, who often find that is a far cry from where they are at. When you're at a national conference, most people just kind of shrug their shoulders and say, well, that's the national average. So we point it out to them because I think it's important in the context of California. Talk about our areas of focus. Every student, every day, are focused on continuous improvement and relationships. And these have been kind of the pillars of a lot of our work in the last several years. And as highlighted at the top, really talking about us as a district and how we support our students inside and outside of our classroom. The vision, mission, and long-term view, really the basis of this was something that we, a moral imperative to provide this to our students. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have for our students to be successful. Research shows that day in and day out, that social emotional well-being for our students is key for success in learning, and you'll see some opportunity costs slides towards the tail end of the presentation. So why the focus on social emotional learning? Well, when I walked in the door, this was the local control accountability plan goal that had been created and discussed, and we had added a little bit to it over time, but really the focus is on academic achievement and social emotional strength through collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, communication. So that is the goal that the board has set forward in this 3-year strategic plan that we're coming up on the last year here, we're planning on and moving forward. But it's nice, it's a great opportunity for me to explain the board's role and how you set this vision early on and how we went about fulfilling that vision. There's still a lot of work to do that. As you've seen this slide before from Dr. Keller, what do we want for all students? We want all students to thrive, to be prosperous, to flourish in their environment. And that development takes time and takes support. Sometimes students need more support than others, and that's why we have created safety nets in our systems as well as educational opportunities. Dr. Keller really likes this slide. Lynn Darling Hammond, for those that know or don't know, she is very involved in California education, and State Board of Education has written several books, understands that in order to prepare our students for success now, we have a lot of work to do. It's a stressful living environment in this world today, and it's incumbent upon us to help them understand that and to help them be prepared for that future. So this is a few of the data points that we talked about in the past. Reasons for absences in the past 30 days. In the past 30 days, did you miss school for any of the following reasons? As you can see, Students' responses were again very high for sad, hopeless, anxious, stressed, or angry at 21%, which is high compared to other districts when we look at absence rates. Not getting enough sleep obviously is an indicator at the high school, which is a great conversation related to the bell schedule, which I know is something that the students were talking about, and or getting behind in schoolwork, which is again another conversation that I know will be part of the bell schedule, ongoing conversation there. We looked at chronic sadness. There's two data points here. There's the 15-16 and 17-18. You can see our results compared to the state results. And you can see that growth over time and or decline over time. This is simply 2 years worth of RT data points, so I would not count this as trends, because a downward trend could be followed by an upward trend. But we are at least pleased to see that in certain areas we are seeing a decline. Now the key will be if it's year-over-year decline when we do this the next time. So, but we are putting forth our effort to address this and have other data points through our LCAP survey and our school climate surveys, and I believe a challenge success survey that they'll be giving at the high school to help again kind of provide us indicators of this area and how we're doing to support our students. This is a very scary statistic that statewide 16% of students in 11th grade have seriously considered attempting suicide in the last 12 months. We were hovering right around the national average previously. Again, declines, if we can continue to see those year-over-year declines, I think that will be an area that I know we have a lot of emphasis on, but as we know, it only takes one student to successfully complete suicide, and we've had several of that graduates, unfortunately. That's happened 2 times. So we know we have a lot of work cut out for us still. This will be an ongoing work for us, both in staffing and what we do to support our students, but also with our students and having them identify and say something. And I think their students are starting to understand the power of their voice to support each other. And we continue to have students bringing forth information about students they're concerned about, and that is really an important indicator for us that we are starting to break down some of those walls that people have thrown up originally, and people are willing to have that conversation and say something, knowing the seriousness of it. We know an area for growth for us is continuing to be being comfortable talking to staff about social and emotional concerns. You can see on the graph, we as staff and believe our students want to talk to us, but they're the great bar, unfortunately. So
The students are the very bar.
yeah, so that has since changed. This most recent LCAP, we're seeing a significant growth in students who are agreeing with and strongly agreeing that they're our staff that they're more comfortable talking to, and I think that's something that we're trending upward on, and I'm very pleased with that. That stems back to work we've done over the last several years with strengths, as well as focusing on culture. When we brought Phil Boyd in with staff, just breaking down those barriers of conversation with students, and that was something that came out of the WASC visitation committee report. We're still waiting for the final report, but the oral report commended the staff at the high school for the work that they were doing in that area, and that our students that they interviewed in the focus group that they pull at random, they just walked around campus and pull random students, all said that their teachers were working very hard to establish relationships with them. And so when you hear it from a focus group of random students from all walks, they just ran on the ground, that was a testament to the work that we are doing and hearing that feedback. So I know that Dr. Allman should be proud of that work. This is our framework. It's adopted from Washington State. You can see self-efficacy was added, but again, this is the framework that we're utilizing as we move forward. This was picked through a process with our social emotional stakeholder group that Dr. Keller helped facilitate. This is the climate of care through Stanford University's Challenge Success model that they bring to the table, and as you can see, student-teacher relationships is high amongst those, social emotional learning, classroom environment, peer relationships, and student belonging. We have data points for all of these areas that continue to show areas of both improvement and areas for ongoing growth. And so I'm looking forward to getting the results back from Challenge Success once we do that survey in the next couple, I think it's next month, I can recall, in terms of timing. And we'll be able to look and see from their lens how we're doing as well. So, and tonight you'll see on the agenda a additional cost for the parent component of that survey. So measuring what matters, as you know, we have a student risk screening scale that's filled out by the teachers, and we also have the co-vitality, which is done by students. We've been doing a fall and a spring administration, and this really does, as you can see on the bottom, data, knowledge, action, helps us really inform our actions. And this is, again, areas for growth and areas for success. Over time, I think these are simply data points that we have to measure over a longer period of time to truly understand what implications some of the actions we are doing. But we, as you can see on this graph, and I apologize, it is a little small, the green, and this is again for the screening, K3, you have increase in low risk students. Along the bottom, it talks about fall 17, external and internal spring, as well as fall 18, which is our most recent data. So we're seeing low risk increase in the areas that we would want to make sure we see it in, and we see our moderate risk and high risk decrease. So, as you know, we use co-vitality for our social emotional health survey, and it provides the categories here is out of UC Santa Barbara, and this has been probably one of the most interesting topics when we do present that people ask us questions about of how are we utilizing this. There are several universal screeners out there that have come along, and the process that we utilize to select co-vitality and also what we do as a result of the data is often a question that gets asked. And so it is a great thing for us to have a screener that students are able to take that identifies students that we need to intervene with right away, students that may need some extra support, while also providing parents with a little bit of feedback around how their students are doing along this scale as well. We know that the more assets students have as they age, the higher percentage of their life is going well. It's their response. This isn't our scale. This is just true data around people. So here are the categories you can see: belief in self, belief in others, emotional competence, and engaged living. As you'll see in a future slide, when we break this down a little bit for one school site, you'll see what that looks like for student responses overall. Here's El Moro's. I only picked, so I'm not picking on El Moro, I only used a handful because in our regular presentation we get them all, but you've seen this before. But you can see elevated highest risk in the far right hand corner. They have lots of distress and low skills, okay? And then you can see inconsistent on the bottom there, and then you can see at risk, though they have high skill set. So we immediately, if they're not already receiving support for those students in the elevated, they will get support right away, and then the students that are at risk are monitored and follow up. But we've done a really nice job of monitoring that and collecting data with our student support specialists along the way. At the elementary school, you only use 4 areas, so persistence, gratitude, zest, and optimism are the only ones that are measured. The high school, there are more, but so this is 4 of 4. And you can see over time, fall is the blue, spring is the yellow, fall 18 is the red. Again, indicators of success or areas for growth need to be longitudinal to truly understand, but I think for us, it's simply an area that we can see. Zest is clearly an area that we need to continue to work on as a school district. Here's the high school's fall results. Again, you can see high risk and elevated in the far right-hand corner. You can see high with inconsistent, meaning that the students have high skills but low abilities to respond. So I think this is an indicator that we definitely have a need for student support specialists. We definitely have a need for creating a system to check in with students. We have a need to outreach with our families, which is what happens for all of these situations, is there's immediate contact made with families and ongoing follow-up. And here are the top 4 strengths, fall 2017 to 2018, of 12 that are identified. So. And here are the bottom 4. So ZEST continues to be an ongoing topic for us. We've seen some increases potentially in persistence again over time. It will be important to see how that continues to trend. There are minor trends upward, but minor is the key word there. Again, there's a lot of ongoing work and data that we'll need to gather. So we talked a little bit about the first presentation we did was in Las Vegas, so we used Shuffling the Deck as our little way to connect with the city. So do you add personnel or do you simply shuffle the deck? And what we meant by shuffling the deck is simply taking people you already have and reassigning them and taking job duties away. And we knew that in our district that wasn't going to be something we could do. That we, in order to really do this right, you had to add personnel. You had to add specialized staff that are going to be able to address this. And when you go to a national conference, you have social workers. That's just a national expectation. We're in California, it's far behind the times as it relates to support staff, not only counseling ratios, but just overall and the level of support staff that we have at the counseling level. So again, when you go to CSBA and you talk to school boards around here, they obviously often find budget constraints can get in the way of their ability to add staff. So with us, we are able to add staff. Again, appreciate the board's willingness to do that and approve job descriptions for those positions in the past. And I believe our program is thriving because of that. Opportunity cost for every dollar spent early on, it saves $11 down the line. Ironically enough, when we did our presentation at CSBA, a gentleman yelled out in the audience, "My dad did that study." And what he was sharing with us is that they want to do an update to this study. They believe that the actual $11 potentially is even more now. Again, an early investment in this social emotional learning, social emotional support really does save not just us, but the community at large down the line. This was something that we often talk about is, do our students know what ZEST means? This is actually for Laura Silver's classroom, talking about what is the definition of ZEST in her word of the week. So we know our teachers are trying to find ways to embed this in conversation in their classrooms, helping to identify and define things so that we know that they understand what this means. And when you see that in a classroom, and you're just walking around, that's a very powerful indicator of this is a great conversation that's happening in our classroom. And that's essentially how we end the conversation. I think we do like to provide that we do have references, that we're not just pulling stuff out of thin air. And happy to take any questions or whatnot. Again, the co-vitality, et cetera, better served answered by the expert.
Any questions, comments?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I love seeing that the peer support at the high school was up, and noticed that optimism at Amoro was good, but not at the high school. level, and just wondered what you think happens between elementary and high school.
Well, I think we all know that over time, research shows that students' love of school declines from kinder all the way through till they get into high school. So we start out really, really high for several years in elementary, and it declines. And that's a national story. Interesting enough, our students report that they really want to come and do their best work at school. A very high statistic, actually, in the 90 percentile of high school. Like they want to do their best work at school. However, on the flip side, not all of them agree that they love coming to school. So you have, I think part of it is relevance, and we've talked a little bit about that at the board. That sometimes students at the high school start to question what's the relevance of what I'm learning. At the elementary school, that doesn't pertain as much. But I think students at the high school start to question, and that's natural. But it's a great thing for us to follow up on using thought exchange related to, so you talk about that you want to come and do your best, but yet you're not loving school. So what's happening here? What's the disengagement there? I will say that there's about 25% of our students don't have an opinion about school. So when you put it all together, roughly 80% either don't have an opinion or like school, and there's a segment of our students that don't. So finding out why don't you have an opinion, is also another area that we look forward to kind of engaging with the students on. But to answer your question specifically, I don't know if we could pinpoint one area or one thing over another. I think if you look at national statistics, you may see some trends, but again, we do have some data points that look potentially contradictory in a way, so we want to dig in on those and find out. Our students take their education very seriously, and that's great. And they come to class prepared. They indicate that at a high rate they come to class prepared. But I think there might be just a little bit of a challenge related to understanding where this falls within the larger context of their life and their career and college. And there's a lot of external pressures that kind of come into play at high school as well. So
It seems like maybe they're prepared because they want to get the grades and get on to the next thing.
well, we know that there's data that shows they have a hard time living in the moment at times, really, because there is a lot of that. Where are you going to college? You get your applications ready. Starts in junior year. We hear that in the community, so we've tried to have parent education opportunities. Paul Kanarak and I think most recently the PTA had he lives in the community. Drawing a blank on his name. No, Dr. Jerry. We've had Tyler Berman, and also has come and spoke about the same concept about like it's really important to have balance. This should be the fun times of your life while you're headed to more school and then potentially work for the rest of your life. And this is a time to cherish, but unfortunately we're rushing a lot of our kids through that process. So I think it's not only an indication of something we continue to work on, but I think community as society as well needs to really kind of refocus on what is important for our students.
Then I had another question. I had asked you before about participation, and I know it has gone up the last few years. You sent me the numbers and the percentages, but I didn't get the statistics or the number of the K-3, like the number of parents that opted out, or what percentage that was, and if that's changed over years.
I'd have to defer that one, Dr. Keller.
Does it have
get
to
that
go
screen. They can. Yeah.
I had heard that there were quite a few that did.
I don't know that
I
it was
just
any
wondered.
more than
And if there was
previous.
something we could do about that, or why.
I think
One teacher told me about half the class.
I don't know that it was that significant. I would have heard that. So it wasn't half the class. So, but I'll get you the
Okay,
numbers.
great.
Based on Dee's inquiry, it would be interesting to know in other districts with other demographics, if they see the declines in the, like, wanting to come to school.
Oh,
Because this is a really high pressure community. And I know when the students become aware of the intensity of the expectations, and then they see some of their fellow students who seem to do everything effortlessly and everything falls into place with those students, I would say that here could have a greater effect in another community. But I don't know where we would find that data, I mean, or if it's even relevant, because what's relevant to us is to try to reach out to those students that are feeling a little bit lost and reinforce to them the importance of what they're doing.
Right.
If they're reaching their potential, I mean, everybody's different, but this can be a tough community.
And it's not just high school, I mean, there's a book by a Yale professor, something like Sheep. And he talks about all the students who come very prepared, got great grades in high school, same in college, they get out, they all want that top stock market job or the top job, and then they come back to him and say, why did I do all this? Why did I work so hard? I didn't have any fun, I earned very little, and for what? I mean, it's that missing balance in life. So it isn't, I know it's not just high school, but the bigger question is how do we balance it? What can we do?
I think some of that is us parents teaching the balance at home, with our own, treating our own stories of our work and our pressures and what we do with this year. And that's why it's great for parent education, I think, creates conversations.
To relate a little bit to strength finders, finding interests you have passions instead of that focus of GPA, ACT score. And I think I noticed it at CSBA, there were a lot of subjects of that, of kind of more passion and career interests and exploring your interests, which hopefully broadens opportunity for kids, that there's lots of ways they can fit different experiences.
And I noticed that colleges are looking at that in their applications now too.
U Chicago dropped ACT scores altogether.
Yeah, and NYU, I'll show you before, you just pick a test score, whatever you want, an AP test score, something, you just submit something. Right, so it doesn't matter what it is, you don't pick all of them, there will be.
The trend is going
The
that way,
trend
but
is that.
we still are fighting a big monolith of scoring and application.
I know the UCs are evaluating as well as the Cal States, related to, what is an indicator of. But I think the conversation back to, how do we know how we compare maybe to others? It's hard, every district's demographics are so unique. But what we do know, and going back to the presentation related to that attendance slide, we can see that our students are under a significant amount of stress compared to other school districts when they note in the Healthy Kids survey, students that they're missing school because, they're chronically sad, or they are overwhelmed with homework. And you're not seeing those same indicators in other districts that are taking the Healthy Kids survey. You see it in other very high performing, high achieving, high expectation districts, but you might not see it in others. And I think that's something that is an indicator of, okay, so that's a community conversation. So that's why we've enlisted the support of Challenge Success to have that dialogue with the community. We believe that's the best way we can begin to break that down. We'll bring in speakers that continue to explain that life is a journey, and we want students to be well-rounded individuals with multiple skill sets, know their strengths when they walk out, have some areas of interest that they may want to, or passions they may want to pursue. So that's really why we are working towards the funded concept, really of your journey of building your future self. We think that's a great way for students to be able to identify the areas of interest that they have, those that align with data points that are strengths that they, not what mom and dad think are their strengths, but what you think and realize are your strengths, and how over time you will sharpen those strengths, they'll become even stronger, but how those can lead into career areas or just areas of interest that you can follow and pursue. So I believe our job really is to help our students be exposed to a lot of different experiences, because we know that the journey, and once they get into high school, the journey to career is right around the corner. And so it's incumbent upon us to do that, and that's will be ongoing work. So.
And I think it's also an amazing gift to parents, because the journey of exploration of what you want to do once you're in college is $30,000 to $80,000 a year dream. So it's nice to explore during free public
Lower
education.
price, yeah. Agree with
Totally
that.
appreciating this.
It's expensive exploring.
It is really expensive exploring.
I heard that a few times, actually.
Yeah, so it's good that we're recording it, and I had one, were you done, Dee? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just had one question, was this, I'm holding up this draft, but this was
Staff
staff,
is
parents, and then,
Staff.
yeah, okay, I just wanna sure. That
He
was the one
says
where
in
they're
the
showing.
presentation, yeah.
Just as far, and I should know this, but how familiar are parents with all the work that we're doing on strengths?
Well, I can tell you the students are, especially at the
Yeah, yeah.
elementary level, because we have done some surveys with them.
That parents,
Parent-wise, it's definitely a conversation, you know, Jenny and I have talked a little bit about it as well, about how do we engage our parents in this conversation? Potentially down the line doing some parent workshops, how to support your students' strengths.
right?
So it's a topic of conversation, it's not something we have been able to land on exactly what we want to do. But I think, you know, when you look at our guest speakers, and tonight we have Denise Pope as one of the speakers coming forward. I think we can look for great opportunities to leverage our speakers and those parent education opportunities to explain that. I know that at back to school night, if you're in the wheel at Thurston in the elective class and you're Ms. Cochran, you hear about it at back to school night, and she talks about it, and then she will talk about it again for the next group that's in there at the house. But beyond that, we haven't done the parent piece, and there isn't the level of expertise out there to teach them yet. So we're trying to figure out how to go about doing that. But I again, Jenny's always game to try to do
It does seem
something
like it would really help students when they take home what their strengths are, explain to their parents and look at opportunities and directions to go if their parents understood.
There's also the parenting for strengths
Yes.
book that
Yeah,
you
there's
can
book.
check out the library, they have 2 or 3 down
Well,
there.
but I mean, the parents of the district as a whole.
Well, I know, but I'm like thinking to go, you grab one and buy one, and it then tells you how to parent.
So you don't try to change them.
So you're not trying, so you don't, well, you don't do what we do, just find a deficit.
Well, we're working on, you know, your weakness is this, so we're gonna pound that in your head.
We're gonna bring it up every day.
Yeah, but anyway, so those are my strengths, how come they're yours? All that
Where'd
conversation.
you get them?
Which one?
Yeah, this didn't come from me, right?
We don't have that in this family. Yeah, and so there is that.
Maybe we should put that out on the newsletter.
Yeah.
People should get that would be.
So,
Thank you. We move to item 14, information item again, second quarter report of uniform complaints for the Williams case settlement.
Thank you. So this item is focused, this is our quarterly report to the board on complaints related to the Williams case settlement. For those who might not be familiar, the Williams case settlement focuses on 3 areas. Sufficiency of textbooks or instructional materials, teacher vacancies or misassignments, and school facilities must be in clean, safe, and maintained in good repair. And we have no complaints for this one.
I had my presentation covering my note on this question last week.
Oh.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you know how much we're investing in our SEL as a program? Do you guys,
Very slightly over $400,000,
around 40,000?
and the vast majority of that is for the staffing.
Thank you.
Okay, do you have any public comment on the Williams case settlement? Or going back, as Carol had already, do you public comment on our social emotional learning hesitancy? Thank you, Victoria. Item 15, information monthly financial update for November 2018.
Thanks, President Vickers. Everything is tracking as we'd expect by the end of November. I would highlight that the large revenue that we received in December isn't reflected in here, obviously, but it will be in our next monthly financial. We just got it. It's a little over $18 million from local property tax receipts. Everything's at about 30% of our major ongoing costs, such as salaries, benefits, books, and supplies. This is reflective of actual expenditures, not encumbrances. If we show that encumbrances, books and supplies and services would be almost fully spent out because it's encumbered. As we go through the projected ending fund balance, that's matching with our first interim, no changes there. Same is true with the components of the ending fund balance. We still have all of them the same for the first interim, showing that we're able to meet our financial obligations and our reserve requirements, and that's in addition to contributing more to our Fund 40s, which was our capital improvement program, and our facility repair replacement program. It's still our old OPEB trust as of September 30th. We just got the revised for December last night, so we will have that in the December monthly financial. But just to give the board an idea, this is on page, I'm sorry, 4 of 21, September 30th. It's gone down slightly as of December. However, in order to be 100% funded for our other post-employment benefits, it's a little under $3 million. So we're over 100% funded for our OPEB liability now at this point. And then all the other funds are as expected, with the majority of those expenditures occurring in the summer for the facility programs, and the cafeteria is ongoing. That's Fund 13 for our cafeteria fund. With that, be happy to take any questions.
Any public comment? Any questions or comments? Thank you. Thorough as always, thank you. Appreciate the detail. Item 16, a temporary interfund transfer of $6 million initiated on September 13th, 2018 was returned to the Special Reserve for Non-Capital Outlay Fund 17 on December 18th, 2018.
Thank you again, President Vickers. On September 11th, our school board approved a resolution allowing us to borrow from ourselves, essentially, from our special reserve non-capital outlay, which is our Fund 17, to help us during our low cash flow months, which occurs usually from October through December. Again, as I mentioned, we received our large tax apportionment in the middle of December, which this year will be on December 17th. And that allowed us to return the $6 million that we borrowed from Fund 17 to our general fund the very next day on December 18th. So that has been completed, and Fund 17 is full, sitting a little over our $17 million that was reflected in personnel.
Public comment? Any board questions or comments?
Thanks for doing it like this, so it's such a big number, not getting it set, yeah.
Of course, thank you.
17, information item, report regarding a joint powers authority for college and career access pathways partnership between South Orange County Community College District / Irvine Valley College and Laguna Beach Unified School District. Dr. Bishop,
Yes, thank you, President Vickers. I'd like to bring this for you for information. I'll bring it back on February 12th for action. But I'd like to bring this forward for your consideration we'd like to offer some courses in the summer school. Dual enrollment allows us to give students college credit while we offer the course on our campus. So it'll offer us opportunities for students and expand course offerings.
Public comment? Any board questions or comments?
This is just for summer.
We'd like to begin with summer, but if that's successful, class enrollment numbers are expected at high levels. So it's from 30 to 35
Oh, really?
is expected for
And the instructors will be on our site or they will travel?
There will be IVC professors on LBHS campus, yes.
How was your presentation at CSBA where they're doing during the year?
Yes, in the bell schedule.
It's a great start.
We'd like to explore summer school and see what we can do from that.
That's a great start.
So the courses listed here is the buffet that we can offer and choose from.
Okay, that's great.
And it removes barriers of one student having to drive out if they can, or be on, and I'm also that it $100 and the fee, and those are real costs, and so thank you for.
That's great.
Thank you for consideration.
Yeah, I think this is wonderful. Now, are you saying that only some of these classes will be offered?
At a time, yes.
At a time, okay. Wasn't last summer, I remember looking at the courses that students took at the community college, and I believe psych was the #1, wasn't it?
Yes.
So that's great if we can offer it here, and
Yes.
I know a number of kids that were in high school in Irvine that took sign language and went on to college doing sign language even further and got to wonderful heights with that. So that's exciting.
And the COM class, in fact, COM 1 if students take that, it's a grad requirement for CSU classes, for CSU campuses, and then if you take COM 1 and 2, it fulfills critical thinking requirements for UC schools. So it'll offer students the opportunity to cross off options before they even get to college.
Could you tell me again the number of students per class?
Yes, 30 to 35 is IBC's expectation to fill.
If we have less than that, then we don't have the class, how does that work?
That has been my question. Their intent is to partner with us. And so they said if we need to have a lower class to get us started, that we would have a discussion about that.
Okay. How
What
many
are
class?
students used to in high school?
I'm sorry.
What is the number of students in a high school class?
In our current class,
Yeah.
Yes.
not 35.
Oh, it is 35.
No,
Yes.
no,
No, it's not.
below 30.
It's gonna be a real stretch.
We agree. So what we'd like to do is advertise and begin that work. We could do that after the board takes action on February 12th.
Well, I think really letting students know, but letting parents know too, parents can work together to take a call, like, if we do this one, we all agree to do this one, then we know it's a telecom one, we want to come to, or whatever it is. That doesn't mean the student will then just have to have parents construct it too. And if we can create protocols and whatever, all the schedules we do, but everyone's coming here,
Yeah, if it's right here.
right,
it makes
just
it
agree that
right.
we're all gonna take the class together, that's.
Length of time of the classes is.
So they match our semesters and our summer school classes. It may be that the class is a little bit longer, but they will match our summer school
Longer
schedule.
day or longer weeks?
Longer day. It depends on the, as we bring forward our summer school schedule, then we'll work with IBC to figure out how that all works. But the intent would be, we only offer the same class, with Monday through a week, that's Monday through Friday, that we're offering the same days. And we just may have instructional minutes may vary for IBC courses.
And what time do you start?
Summer school traditionally we begin at, it's 8 to 12. In high school.
So when you bring it back to us, when you have picked classes to offer?
We have a meeting with IBC, I believe in 2 Fridays, that we can begin those conversations. But really IBC will not take action until it's board approved, and then they will begin to identify professors for the courses that we identify.
These are the menu that we are
Right.
bringing forward, and then they agree to offer these, we have the critical mass. Doesn't preclude our students from going to IBC and so forth
Right.
and taking classes. This is just something to really.
So when you finally offer to the students, we offer all these and they are just a couple of them?
No, our intent for summer school is to choose 2 or 3.
Okay.
And then, I know they're in agreement with other high schools, is there a way that if we can't get enough kids, that they can go to Irvine or some other high school, if there's an agreement, that we can kind of piggyback onto their agreement? You know what I'm saying, that our
Instead
kids
of
are
going to
running that,
IBC,
I'm saying
You
like
can
a college
piggyback on
campus.
CCAP, I don't think you can piggyback, and you have to have the high school itself has to have the agreement.
For the moment.
But not like if we had an agreement, but we couldn't get enough kids for a class or something.
Well, they
As
can
long
always
as it's
go
not
to
something we're
IBC.
teaching.
No, could we partner with?
Quick partners like Irvine or something, is what I'm saying.
I don't know the answer to that question, I can find out.
Another question to ask is, can the IBC students come here and take the class with our students?
No, if it's on our campus, it's open to our students. As I understand it, particularly in, along with Peggy's question, if it's in our bell schedule, it's only open to our students. I need to find out for summer school if that's the case.
Because in other places,
Correct, yes.
So would the classes then in the school year be outside the bell schedule after, or are you looking at these as in the bell schedule?
Well, right now, we wanna offer it for summer
I
school,
know, I
but
just meant like in your thoughts, would it
And then we're competing with our own
yes.
elective offerings.
Well, we'd have to discuss how it,
Yeah.
how it works.
because I don't wanna
I think it's a lot more
yeah,
complicated.
It does. Some courses are offered after school as well.
and that comes to my last question, since IDC does a lot of these classes where you can go, or you can take it online, or they do both, or they do some, would that be something they wanna do as well?
There is a particular course that IBC offers, that another district has chosen on their menu that is an online course. We did not put that on our selection.
So I guess they can do that, and they can do that themselves and roll, right? Okay.
Thank you. It comes back in February.
Yes.
Information item 18, discussion of practice and protocol regarding requests for changes to board meeting dates and review of the 2019 board meeting schedule.
Yeah, for us, I think, we, I'm glad we collected for us, Victoria and myself. Just would like, a conversation related to, the process we're going to utilize to identify, changes in the board meeting, tentative schedule. How, the board would like us to bring back at our protocol meeting next week, or if the board would like us to bring back steps that board members should take to let Victoria and myself know that you're unable to attend a meeting, or if your intent is to attend the meeting from a location not here, what timelines would that entail, and provide explanations of that information. So I think this is a kind of a multifaceted information item just for us to get a little bit of feedback and conversation so that we can bring back the protocol meeting next week, some greater detail. So that could include, do we wanna change any of the meetings we currently have right now slated? For that discussion, I think in front of you, in front of everybody, or no, is it just you, Jim?
I have privileges.
Is our current approved schedule, but we kind of wanted to have a discussion, allow the board to have a discussion about this, and then we're prepared to bring something forward for the next.
Public comment on this item?
So how many meetings, if you know, how many meetings do we have in total last year? Like all of our
You
meetings?
mean adding in a special?
Yeah, like there's
Special meetings or
like all of that,
About 29.
okay, and then promotions and graduations, do they count that
That
too,
didn't
or?
count.
I wouldn't count that.
So, we've averaged over the last 2 years, roughly 28 to 30, partly because we've had, board policy workshops that have been added. Let's see, we have, superintendent evaluation sessions. We've combined study sessions with meetings at times, so those combined, so we don't count those. So that's, obviously there's a board bylaw related to, how many meetings the board will have in which months.
I think it could be, I know it came up at different times, kind of bubbled up and then we didn't, whether we have a business meeting, right, where we're district, and then we have another day held for a study session or a special meeting or something, and if it ends up being a board workshop, then that counts as a meeting, or if it ends up being evaluation, that counts as a meeting, or something like that, so that second meeting is either a working meeting for us or to hear the community and, you know, the conversations with them.
Reduce, are you saying, just so I'm clear, reducing the amount of special new meeting times?
No, reducing our business meetings instead of twice a month to once a month.
Right.
And then having the special meetings, whatever they might be.
Okay.
Right, and it probably end up taking up most of those.
So it might reduce it from 28 to 30, maybe to 24.
Or
Yeah.
less, or 22 or something
Yeah.
like that, right? And that's it.
But another thing that they do with that in other districts, like you're saying, do a business meeting 1 week and then, you know, the next meeting 2 or 3 weeks later, it's a study session. But their business meetings, because they don't expect so many people to come, they start at 4 o'clock.
Oh, and do a longer.
Well, no, not necessarily longer, but get
What
out
is
earlier.
Oh, the benefit, I don't know if families that would appreciate starting at 4, because I feel like there's a lot of after school, particularly in this community, there's a lot of.
No, it's the business part though, it's not
But
the.
that's still people.
Well, this is the
interested in
business,
Yeah.
this is
Because
the
our meetings are.
I'm just saying that, I know that's how they do it in Tustin.
I mean,
Oh,
meetings are
4.
business meetings, and I think there was definitely, it was a big change when we changed from 7 to 6.
It used to be 7? Oh my gosh.
Well, if you're a parent and you work out of town,
Yeah.
you don't get home till 6.
Right.
I mean, if you want your meetings to be encouraged the public to come, that change has been in effect for quite a while.
A question about the standard of meeting changes at Jason and Victoria? Has it just been, I mean, this is my experience, the standard is, yes, I can make these meetings, no, I just an email, no, I can't make this meeting because of whatever conflict or like I got stuck in an airport in Texas and missed a meeting. Is that just, it's just been like an email communication is like the way we do it?
Yeah, and I think it would be helpful for us to have a specific protocol that's followed, so
Okay.
that everyone knows, okay, this is, this is the protocol you would
So
alert.
You know,
Well, myself and Victoria via email that you weren't able to make it, if at all possible, giving us a lot of advance time so we know, so we can plan accordingly. But I think also for the board to have that same conversation so that you know whether you wanna move a meeting or not. If right now, I can't make a meeting in September, is there an interest to move that meeting now, knowing that there's some time between now and then, do we wanna, look at moving a meeting here or there? But those are all conversations obviously that I think are important to have, but we kind of need to know the direction the board wants to go. What I think Perry was referring to is that various districts have kind of changed their models over time, but several of them have gone where you have 2 meetings a month to go to a cycle where the study session starts at 4, there's no action type thing. In that way, you can have potentially staff come to the study session.
Staff
Or
doesn't
staff
have to
aren't.
stay
Okay.
So if you have teaching staff, or so they're not having to come back to be part of presentations, but then it can, as we know, alienate some of our parents who want to attend, so it's always that kind of.
You can't make everyone happy.
Can't make everybody happy,
Yeah.
we know that, so,
That's an interesting one.
but,
Well, actually, if you had boards that had people who, they worked and couldn't come at 4 o'clock, that's.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That used to be definitely the case here. I mean, that people were fully
Well, I-
employed and they
Yeah,
didn't
for
get
my
until 6
work,
o'clock
I'm
for
usually
their
done
work.
by 4, so
Right.
yeah.
That's,
So you're saying that's another conversation that we could have?
well, I think for me, right now, what came out of some, misinterpretations or whatever, when we set our meetings in December, which has not ever really come up before, as far as it was just a routine that we set, because we have to set all the meeting dates for the year.
Second,
So
yeah.
there was a knowledge of probably when they would be, but that's the time when anyone would come in and say, oh, at the August 13th meeting, I'm going to be on vacation then, and then 2 other people say, well, I am too, so then we automatically know we wouldn't have a quorum, so we would need to change that. But and those are the meetings that, in the summertime, probably are the most likely to, where you would move it, because to accommodate work,
And we have-
since it's summer vacation
we
time.
move the July meeting around at different times, from
And
one.
we wanna try to accommodate that, but other than letting you know in advance if something comes up that you didn't know about at that time,
Yeah.
it's just to really make sure that that didn't happen to 2 other people, so then you come to the meeting and say, oh, well, we only have 2 people, so we don't have a
So we sort of don't move around for one person, the focus, this is what I'm interpreting, we move around for quorum. Our goal is quorum, but if you individually have a trip to Paris all of a sudden planned, we don't move around for that particularly, but we are always focused on quorum and having the majority of us here,
Particularly now,
if not
since
all.
Jason's brought up the opportunity to do conference or Skyping or
Right.
whatever, and that way it doesn't preclude someone.
Well,
And
and the
if there's,
Yeah, the Roberts does lay out how to do it,
It
it really
does.
does tell us out, so we just need to know what we
We
wanna
did
do
a few of those with
internally.
Kay Turner when she was no longer able to physically come, and so that worked out fine, you just have to post it where you are. We did it with Keta.
Kenneth did it, yeah.
But I think the idea is, part of it, and maybe this has changed too with districts, but it is when you hear sometimes from the public, they say, well, we don't know when you meet. Part of it is to have that consistency when you look at these, that they know when we meet. And I don't know whether that.
Our board policy clearly states that we will meet the second and fourth Tuesday, generally. And 6 times a year we have 2 meetings, 6 times a year we have 1 meeting. And there are times, obviously, when we move the summer meetings, but if you wanna change that, you have to change board policy. There's nothing wrong with requesting a date change on occasion. But if you just say I'm not gonna be there and you don't request a date change, that doesn't tell us that you want a date change. And we can't do anything about it anyway, you have to
Yeah,
get into the board.
I have no authority.
So there's a couple different issues here that have to be talked about next week.
Okay.
And to decide those issues, we need to have you do that tonight, kind of, because there's a lot to talk about next week. So as you can see just from this discussion, there's a lot in this, and if you wait until next week to decide what portions of it you wanna talk about, it's gonna take a majority meeting.
Can you get us a copy of the policy?
I know, I was looking again at the Brown Act about the Skyping, and I don't think we did it correctly before. Because you, not only do you have to put the notice up, but that person has to open up their hotel room or whoever it is to the public, and you have to make a time on the schedule for public to talk, and you have to have a microphone.
Right, so if you go to the business center, because I was in Hawaii traveling, if you go to the business center will post it for you and they'll put your microphone and they'll keep it open.
Right, so you have, if you do something like that, it's possible, but it's not possible if you were
Backpacking and, or even,
you know, taking a microphone and putting your room open to people at the hotel to come in and talk.
well, if it says a hotel, yeah, so if it's a
That
hotel,
would be for people that are in your district.
That are also vacationing in Hawaii.
Right, what I'm saying
Oh,
is
that was for them
that
to
would
go to
be, we don't want to get so far off into something that is really unlikely, that if you're in another state, in another country, that there's going to be somebody from this school district that's also there, that's going to come to your room to speak to an agenda item. Just like, I mean, we don't have anybody here right now here in our own town, so.
I just wanna follow the rules,
Right.
and that's what the Brown Act
Can
says.
we get a copy of the Brown Act specific to this?
Well, we're having that, yeah, next week we're having a
Next week.
presentation.
A lot of presentation on Brown Act, so we have an opportunity to talk to probably one of the most expert individuals on Brown Act, being former county council, Ron Winker, but
In your board handbooks that you have, all of the bylaws are in there, and the bylaw that relates to what we're discussing regarding meetings is 9320.
So he's coming next week.
yes, we've got.
so this is an action item, so you're just looking for this information, and you're just looking for us to give suggestions, focus.
Yeah, I mean, I would request, my upset this year was, I looked at that, and it was the second Tuesday, and then it got changed after I had made my plans. And my thought was, why didn't they look at it in December and change it, if they thought it should be changed?
We did change it this week, that was.
Well, yeah, you changed it in the middle of December
Well, I changed it at the meeting.
Right, but I mean,
You
obviously,
couldn't
I made my
change it
plans
any other
early.
Right,
time
but
potentially.
it hadn't been voted on before that, it wouldn't,
Right, but
it
why
didn't
was it,
exist
if they'd already, my point is, if they'd already figured out that they didn't want the meeting right after break, because it wouldn't be right for everybody to have to work on it over break, why didn't they put it?
Because
We
they
have-
can't figure it out, we have to
We have to do
figure it
an
out.
organizational meeting, which is
That's
that
not their
December,
job.
and it's in December.
And they
We could have turned them down, we could have said, no, you're gonna come in before everybody comes back to school.
Yeah.
Well, we
Here's our
didn't want,
meeting.
we didn't wanna say that.
But here's,
Okay.
It was called tentative, every
I
board
can't have
meeting.
I can't have an organizational vote on meetings for the next year until the board is sitting.
Right,
and
and
vote
then
on it.
December.
And that was the December meeting, that is the ed code is about organizational meetings, setting the meeting dates, do those things at that meeting, so I was precluded from bringing it forward at a different time, saying, this is, you know, what the intent is, that's at that meeting, that's what the purpose of that meeting is for, so unfortunately, that's kind of the timing of that, so if it was, you know, oh, in July, we need to move it here, it would have been a much different conversation in December, cause it's July, so that wasn't
But in
intended.
July, we couldn't say the next year that we're on it, we
Correct.
had to vote on
It's a
that
year- it's a
in
year.
that December, that's the ed code. So December after the elections, when you have your newly seated, that's when you have to have your organization meeting, you have to vote on your calendar dates for next year.
And
But
you
I-
have new members coming
Right.
in December.
Right.
Which was lucky
'Cause
to
here it
get
is.
two incumbents come back.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, but I guess I would have, it's okay, I mean, I should have known that, but I would have appreciated it if somebody would have said this would probably be moved. Because my family's on vacation without me.
I didn't know it was gonna be.
I didn't know if it was gonna be moved
We
either.
didn't, we
Because
didn't
I
talk
didn't
about
have
it.
it.
No, not that it was going to, but it will probably be moved.
They're not allowed to do
If you're dealing
that.
with somebody like me who is in a whole other realm, then I would just say, I mean, I've known when this district, when this board has met for so many years, that, and that's personal choice, I would schedule something then. But I mean, that's me, I mean, like I said, I live in a different realm, it's like, It's like sending your kids to school, I mean, I sent my kids to school.
Yeah,
I
second and
used to
fourth
do-
Wednesdays, but
And going back to
second,
what
fourth, this time is the third.
President Victor's made the comment related to quorum, the goal is quorum. So, we understand that people are going to miss meetings.
Yes.
We have, a lot of meetings, 30 meetings plus, a year, that's a lot of meetings, and we understand that. So what Victoria and I need is, for the board to give direction on process by which, protocol of alerting, whether you also want the board president to be looped in, that you're gonna be missing a meeting, so the board president is also aware, and then Victoria is, there is no protocol right now, so that,
Okay,
we need some guidance on protocol, that's one.
okay, so let's put that down, I think, cause that would make your lives easier.
So I think I'm protocol, like, if I'm gonna travel, I always just, when I'm creating my calendar to the family or whoever, or who's taking care of my kids and traveling, I just make one through Victoria. Yeah, I just make her one on my board member, and I send her the calendar, and she then sees it. And then I don't know what you do with it internally, but for me, that works really well, it's my way of notifying, and if I was stuck in the airport or something, I would text you and I'd email that, right? And I'd include you, so I think that logically makes sense that if, especially if the meeting's that night.
But they'd like to have a protocol.
Yes, I think
so
that
we
makes
all
sense that
follow it.
there's that we know as soon as we know, we would notify.
Something that happens on a last minute basis, uses the guys like.
Right, that's texting and emailing, so last minute, and then I would think as soon as we make travel arrangements, that we would let you know that we're traveling. Just so you know, just so when Victoria's looking at the calendar, so we fit so many other meetings in this. So either when she's planning them, she can just look and go, oh, they're out, and it's not person completely upon you to ask us, I'm saying I'm traveling, or does this date work, or whatever, she'd already know that we're.
Well, for me, am I to assume that if you guys send me your calendar dates and you're missing a board meeting, do I make the assumption that you're just missing the board meeting, there's no request for any other action?
That part too.
Right,
Right.
that's what I'm.
That's-
Oh, okay.
Okay.
What board members are going to expect
Right.
if they are traveling.
So that's the kind of the protocol that we need to.
So I would think, so like if I'm planning something, I try to plan it so I won't miss, right? So it's traveling, I try to plan it so I'm back in between, but if I was gonna miss, I would think if it's 6 months out, I wouldn't know what we're talking about, I might look and say, that's something important. But if we weren't in that forum, I would want to call in, like I'd wanna make sure that that didn't get hindered by me not being here. So I don't know, like if that's a couple step process of.
Well, there's something else I'd like to add to that, if you're missing a meeting but you review the agenda and you have particular questions on that, then how do you share those, how do you share the rest of the board members, so that even though you're not there, you're not part of the discussion, but at least your concerns are raised.
And can you raise them that way?
Well, I don't know.
So that's what we have to find out from Veronica, if you can raise them that way, or do you have to call in and raise them that way?
But if we ask questions on something before the meeting, and then it's distributed to the
Right.
board members with the answer, which is to facilitate a meeting moving effectively, then rather than coming
Treat
in
it
and
like
asking
that.
the question and then nobody has had a chance to look it up.
So treat it like that, treat it
So
like,
treat it
even
like
though you're
that,
not.
if that's,
Yeah. That can also,
that would stop short of doing something like teleconferencing, because you're not expecting to participate, but you just want to, like, put your 2 cents in.
right,
Not that you'll have any influence because you won't be here, but.
right, well, but
But you
everybody.
might, I mean, at
Right,
least you
they
can,
will.
but still, that would be done ahead of time.
We just have to have a clarification also, if you are Skyping or conferencing in, does it go towards form or not? And does it also go?
It does, it
Yes.
does, it goes around. And that's why I said, like, if something happened, also, like, you're traveling Italy or whatever it is, right? And then something happens and 2 people can't be here, and so then there's only 2 people, well then, and they can't, right, then I would want to call in, or one of you would want to call in, right? Because you want to make sure it's formed.
So I just wanna go back to
Oh,
what
yeah.
we want for next week, so I feel like we're going on track.
Oh, it has to be posted, so you have to post on that
Yes,
Friday,
when
you
you
say Friday?
teleconference, you may not teleconference unless the agenda is posted, it is posted on the agenda, if there's a teleconference. Where that teleconference is going to be, you post it here, you post it at the location,
That's right, and then.
and you also need to post it, not only, let's say, the hotel bulletin board, but if you're in a hotel, on the hotel door, and the door must be open.
Right.
So there are definite
So
steps.
we would create a protocol steps of what you have to follow.
Okay.
Including timeline.
I think the timeline,
So I think those are basic, so we can work on creating some language around that. The other piece I think is also important is simply how you go about, we have the December organization meeting. So and if at something you made travel plans after that meeting or something you're not, so what's the process after the organizational meeting to discuss potentially moving meetings, if that's something that is a request of members, that I think is also a component of that. You have the organizational meeting in December that sets the meetings, but if there is an interest of the board after that meeting to then
How to
re-engage in a
facilitate that.
conversation, that's gonna be an action item, but how would we go about doing that?
Well, and we have that, address that in this meeting next week also, say that a board member makes that plan, and then they, under our last item on the agenda, they wanna bring that up and ask their fellow board members, I've now made these plans or something came up, and so now I'm gonna miss this meeting, do they support changing it?
I think that's perfect.
And then everybody says no.
But I think the majority has the right to say no,
Yes, they
because
do.
I think as
They do.
adults, you can miss a meeting,
Right.
and that's just
Right.
one person,
We're
that's fine,
individuals.
yeah, we're individuals.
It's the board though.
I miss other meetings,
But
and
that
yeah,
would, to me, that'd be the place to bring that up.
I think that's
So
makes sense.
we'll add that in
Okay.
as a.
'cause that seems like extra staff work to try and navigate, like, we're gonna switch, and that seems excessive to me.
Can I suggest that we think about moving on, because there's a lot of action items, like
Okay.
you have enough information.
Yeah.
Well,
I
We're
agree.
gonna go to a meeting.
We're gonna talk this next week as well, so.
You could call for the question for an action item.
Right, so that'll do. The only other thing is whether we wanna discuss,
Yeah, I think we're good.
We haven't touched all that stuff.
to discuss one business meeting and then the official.
That'll be a bylaw conversation, so we can bring that up in bylaw if that's an interest of the group. We can get that at the end of the meeting, if that's okay, right? Just wanna make a note to bring it up at the end.
Okay.
Changing the one business meeting and one.
Right.
A discussion point.
We would need to discuss that.
Yes,
That's
that's
fine.
fine.
Yes.
Okay. Good job, board member.
Yes, thank you.
I
Now
know.
we begin our action items.
Okay.
Item 19, approval memorandum of understanding between Capstone Unified School District and Laguna Beach Unified School District for special education services.
Irene was.
Dr. Depot.
So I'm doing this on behalf of Irene White. We bring this forward to you. We brought it forward last year, it was for one particular student. We'd like to bring it forward so we can allow that student to continue and add two more.
Any public comment or questions? Motion please.
Second.
Peggy, board discussion.
Another option. So thanks for another option for kids.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All still, right here is right here in front of me. Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Action item 20, approval independent contractor agreement with Denise Pope, Dr. Denise Pope, for services as a keynote speaker in an amount not to exceed $10,000 plus travel expenses not to exceed $1,750.
Yes, so you may remember we brought Julia Conhames for our first annual LBSD Presents Parent Night. We'd like to have a second in the spring, May 1st. And we'd like to engage Denise Pope to come join us.
Public comment or questions? Motion. Questions?
Will there be any follow-up to the presentation? I mean, you know how they say if you just have a presentation, it doesn't really sink in as well as it did.
That's a great question. So she, part of the reason we'd like to bring her is with our work with Challenge Success. So yes, it will be ongoing. And in fact, we do get a discount because she's a part of the Challenge Success program.
Motion please.
Second.
Karen Peggy, board discussion.
I really wanna thank you guys for using school legal services on the contract and asking that you use them. I don't ask Jason, what order? I know, they're like, oh, answer, right there. But, and then I think parents are gonna be really grateful. She's really great.
was well received, the coffee break was the only thing that. Caitlin? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries by vote. Item 21, approval calendar success parent survey in an amount not to exceed $4,000.
Thank you. So we've already, with your approval, we've already brought in the Challenge Success Program. We'd like to add the parent survey as an additional part. That's a part of this action item, not to exceed the 4,000. It allows us, when we're surveying our students, we can also survey our parents as well. Our intent is to survey side by side with the school climate survey in early spring.
Public comment? Any board questions? Motion please.
So,
Second. Peggy, board discussion.
I think that'd be great for parents.
Just need them to take the survey.
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carries by vote. Item 22, approval revisions to work year calendars of selected classified positions for 2019-20.
So with this item, we have an MOU with CSEA. We held a committee to look at a couple of different aspects of classified work calendars. First was to periodically, as part of continuous improvement, we want to look at our work calendars and make sure that our work is getting accomplished in the most efficient way. So we actually had 11 different classified employee calendars, which was challenging to manage because staff were confused about when they return and certain classifications returned at different times. So we thought one of the charges of that committee was to simplify it. We also needed to address with changes to the 1920 student instructional calendar, we had to make those adjustments as well to the classified calendar. So with this item, we have eliminated the 10.25 and 10.2 month work calendars. And so you can see the employee groups that are affected here. It's not a significant number of people, but this will allow us, we looked at the work that these folks actually do, and a lot's changed. Technology preparation has changed, better preparation, legal requirements, the paperwork that the health clerks need to complete with immunizations. So there were a lot of reasons why these selected positions needed, some of them are very moderate increases. So these recommendations were approved by the negotiation teams, therefore we have the MOU. And we are recommending this for approval by the board.
Public comment? Any board questions? Motion please.
so moved.
Second. Board discussion.
I just wrote well done after I read this, it's really nice.
Thank you. Caitlin? Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries by vote. Item 23, approval contract with Fulcrum Management Solutions, Inc. to provide thought exchange software and professional services for the not to exceed amount of $28,000.
Thank you. So Thought Exchange is, and I put some things in the update about it, it's a really unique way to gather input from various stakeholder groups. Rather than completing a survey where people can only respond within a matrix, it actually can share a thought, and then other people can rate the thoughts. So the top rated thoughts rise to the top, and it really allows people, it's two-way engagement. So it's not just me sharing my opinion, I actually get to look at the opinions of others. And they may have points that resonate with me, and I can indicate that oh yes, I agree with this, or no, I don't agree with this. So that we get a better sense of what the consensus of the group is. So you heard the students mention using it for the high school bell schedule. That'll be our first exchange. We've started working with them, planning for that, and they are supporting that exchange. You've heard through the LCAP process, communication has come up over and over again, and so this is a very unique way to use technology. Other districts have had great success with it, and so we obtained a substantial discount by signing the agreement prior to the board meeting. So we're asking for your approval to ratify this contract.
Public comment? Board questions?
Yes, question. Is there, if we didn't use this, what else could we use?
Well, we've used surveys,
Right,
that's been
but I
our
mean,
primary
if we're asking a specific question, is there something else we could use? I don't know. Instagram, something else that's free?
Not at this level of detail or with this level of support, and you're still, Instagram is really visually driven and not everyone has an Instagram account. This allows anyone with the link to access the information. So there really isn't, there are other companies who do what Thought Exchange does, but you know, we looked at those and thought that this best addressed our needs.
You can do a focus group. We priced out a focus group for a topic, and the range was $12,000 to $15,000 for one focus group for the duration of the day. So that's my
Should be it.
And that wouldn't be all students though.
No.
So then you're representative.
A representative sample.
And we have this for a period of time.
Yes, we
So the uses for other surveys.
Yes, we already have started, based off the LCAP survey results, we met this morning in Cabinet and discussed additional questions that we'd love to pose to students, which you heard me talk a little bit about in the social emotional presentation, as well as staff. Our principals, Dr. Allman's working with Ms. Winston on this and already has some other ideas and questions that he'd like to ask. And there's a variety of ways that you can do these. You can do them where this one's going to be fully hosted and that they will help us ensure that the comments are appropriate before we send them back out to kids.
It's a great body.
So others can, if it's just adults, we simply can post a question. I've seen that done in a variety of districts where they may just post one question about career exploration and people can go online and respond. And it is less time consuming, and so back to your statement, Jan, about the amount of time it takes to do surveys and get people to do them, we think this may be a great way just to get some really strong feedback and do follow-up questions.
And is there a limitation on how many?
No, with this contract, it's unlimited. And we can run one advanced exchange at a time, and that's the one that they support. But we can run our own, that, you know, maybe something that you might use just with staff, that doesn't need the moderation piece of it.
Any other questions? Motion please.
So
Second.
Vicky, any discussion?
Well, I really had doubts about this, and I let Dr. Gloria know that I thought $20,000 was a lot of taxpayer money to spend. Then I looked at it more carefully, and I like that they can do the stars when they like something. I like that the top things come up, they kind of move up to the top, that you can see other people's comments. I saw a lot of positives. Then I looked at some of the videos, and the districts that did it, one was about moving boundaries. One was about trying to raise money. They were kind of different topics. So then I went and talked to some, talked to some high school students in my neighborhood and said, tell me what about the bell schedule, what do you think? And they didn't know much. Do you guys all know a whole lot about it? They didn't know much of anything.
I have not heard a whole lot of information.
Yeah, they didn't have any information, so then I thought, well, we can't just be asking them about the bell schedule if they don't have any, they don't know the pros, they don't know the cons, they don't even know the purpose of it. So it seems to me like this would be a
So
perfect.
you're asking a question then of how they'll prepare to
Well, it seems to
give
me,
the survey to the students? What
it seems to
preparation will
me
take
like it
place?
would be a perfect, when we talk about giving kids real life problems, this is for high school students. Maybe, I don't know, some class ASB or something could explore how it works in different schools. I did talk to a girl from up north that uses it, that is a student rep like you guys, and she uses this same program, and she did really like it, and that kind of swayed me that way, where she can just put out a question early in the day, get answers back. But I like the idea of students, whether it's the statistics class or somebody actually analyzing the data. I like the idea of the students having more part of it. I worry because I think when we did the calendar, we made the right decision, but I think we didn't go through enough steps there's still a lot of angry people. And I think we didn't do enough education, and I think we need to do more education before we just send out a question.
Yeah, I do have a comment about the students knowing about it. So Dr. Allman has come to our student senate meetings to discuss like that there will be a bell schedule change and that students are looking to get students involved in the process. So the student senates are supposed to go back to their classes and tell the rest of their peers what's going on and about the schedule, and if anyone's interested, they're welcome to make a comment to their senate to discuss in the meetings.
So all
Yeah.
the senators know about the schedule, the pros, the cons, all the different ways it
Well,
could be.
we've discussed there hasn't been like a set schedule yet, but students are willing to like, if they would like to say a later start time or like multiple blocks within the week.
We're not in, I think you're a little ahead of the game.
Yeah, I think it's all an analysis,
So,
and that's their
I
job
think
for
you're
high
asking
school.
students to judge different schedules, that's not where they're at. They're at what, in interest-based bargaining, where we're talking about interests, so what are your interests of having a later start? Of
Okay.
having less pullouts, time for athletics, a schedule that addresses, so the interest is really where we're at, cause if you go to solutions where we're, do you like these schedules, that's not what this is about, it's
Yeah.
really about when you think of our bell schedule, what would you do to make it better? Or, and so I know Lisa and Dr. Allman have been working on what the question will be and allow that feedback. But it's not about particular schedules, what do you want to see in schedules? That's kind of the process, we start with interest, what can the schedule accomplish that you're interested in? Flexibility, whether it's, again, a zero period offering, or a later start offering, or multiple, like having 8 classes, right now we have what, so those are things that we wanna ask them, so then we can go back and it help us inform a little bit more of the process, and then we can bring it forward again to, here's kind of what we're thinking, related to an actual schedule.
And part of the process is you don't just go out with a question cold. We're actually gonna record a
Good.
video of
Good.
Dr. Allman talking about the process.
Great,
And
that
that's-
makes me feel much
With
better.
all it changes that there is a front-loaded piece, like giving some context around what the discussion's about and what we're looking to obtain. And that's what, this script will include is, we wanna know what issues students have with the bell schedule, like what, it's a very generic question because we want the thoughts to drive, the direction that we go.
I feel much better about that. I really tried to research this, I get some calls too.
Well,
And it
on
wasn't-
that, I would have appreciated, cause I never received any inquiries of the concern, so.
Yeah, I did say I was concerned about
Yeah, so beyond that, I think, if there was requests specific to the concerns, I would have been happy to provide those ahead of time if you had asked, so.
CSBA's they just had a place, I don't think they gave a presentation, but the last 2 years before, they had a presentation every year at CSBA, I think this time they didn't have food. But it was really interesting to go through it, because it really is to just get thought out there, and it wasn't an experience I had had, it was unlike anything I had experienced. And we got to a place that, only a person had thought about, and when we heard, well, that is really what we're all talking about, right? And it's really easy to get behind that one thing, and it's just really interesting, so I think it takes us out of the topic they picked, really kind of, we're in a fixed mindset about it, we feel like this is something we know, right? It's only done one way, the way your mom taught you, whatever it was, right? And so they took something like that, and then it opened us all up to so much more, because every time you're looking at everyone else's answers, and we do it with paper, so we have paper, so you're going around with this piece of paper and you see how someone else answering, you're like, I didn't think about that, right? But then when you heard the real answer, that's what's really about.
Yeah.
Right?
Call for the question.
Yeah, I love that, but it's,
We have a call for the question, which is interest.
Sorry. So, but I just want to say thank you very much for bringing this forward and allowing our kids to have a unified voice.
I think it's a really great platform, and it's a platform that's really able to students.
Call for the question, really, it's discussion.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
So it does? Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Caitlin,
Yes.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0.
I didn't know that information.
Item 24, approval of contract with Barber and Gonzalez Consulting Group to provide interest-based bargaining, IBB training and facilitation for district CSEA and group for leadership and negotiation teams with a not to exceed amount of $30,000. Lisa?
Thank you. So as I mentioned, we are recommending the use again of facilitators for negotiations this year. This includes 1 day of training, the remaining day of training that we have left, as well as some facilitated negotiation sessions. We've also asked them to provide a 3-hour presentation for our Leadership Academy participants on interest-based problem solving. So not negotiation specifically, but we find that the techniques can be utilized in a variety of settings with people trying to solve problems. So that this contract includes that amount as well.
Public comment? Any board questions? Motion, so moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Same group coming,
Yes.
so they seem to have a good rapport last year.
Question, how many of the same people are involved in the bargaining?
From what I understand, the LaBufa negotiation team has not changed, the district teams have not changed, but CSEA has, I think, 1 new member.
Oh, so there's a lot of people there.
There's a lot of
So I
continuity.
understand.
Right. And that's the other part of providing it to the Leadership Academy participants. We build some capacity internally, so that if someone steps on, it's not necessarily brand new.
Oh, that's great.
Caitlin? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carries 5-0. 25, approval, change order number 1 in the amount of $22,837.99 to Best Contracting Services Inc. for 2018 roofing replacements at various site projects.
Thank you, President Vickers. This is relating to the roofing projects completed over summer. A lot of it had to do with when you tear open the roof and you see the plywood sheeting and the wood fascia below it, there's water damage. And rather than cover it back up, we're gonna replace it to make sure it's done right. So 4% change, cost increase to the contract, but this is change order number 1, and there would be no change order number 2.
Public comment? Any board questions? Motion please, so moved.
Second?
Making discussion.
I heard that they're not leaking, the roof's not leaking, so I
That's
guess they did a good job.
It's a great test.
It's a great test, right? Caitlin?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carries 5-0. Item 26, approval authorizing the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services to file a notice of completion with the County of Orange Recorder's Office for Best Contracting Services Inc. for the 2018 roofing replacements at various sites.
So this is the same contractor that we just had change order 1, and this is why I said there would be no change order number 2. Project is done. This is to file the notice of completion with the County Recorder's Office, which will put in the 30-day timeline for gathering any claims from the manufacturer or subcontractor for the project.
Any public comment? Board questions? Motion, so moved.
Second?
Any discussion? We're not gonna get caught without active change orders. Thank you. Caitlin?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carries 5-0. 27, approval, authorize the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services to file notices of completion with the County of Orange Recorder's Office for the contracts listed in the board report for the LBHS Stadium Restroom Storage Building and Theater Upgrades Project.
Yeah, I'll do this one, but I feel like I could give Mr.
Right.
Zeta some credit here
Right.
because this was a really good idea to split this project up into multiple bid packages. And it allowed us to not only do the new restroom concession building, but at the same time tackle the theater upgrades at the high school, to make sure we're in compliance with Americans with Disabilities Act. All of this has been completed. This is now a notice of completion for the project, and as I mentioned in the update, the fire alarms have been tested and are working, and that was our last step.
Public comment? No questions? Motion is,
Second?
any discussion? Is the building open? Or will be after we approve this?
It will be, the restrooms will be open, but we'll have an official opening ceremony coming up in March.
I mean, it could be an Airbnb, it's so nice. If you don't mind being a little equipment. The restrooms are great. Okay. Caitlin?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. Item 28, approval agreement with Learning Together Strengths Academy for facilitation of a series of Gallup Strengths workshops for LBUSD leadership team for the 2018-2019 school year in an amount not to exceed $10,000.
So we're beginning our pick up where we left off related to strengths for staff, specific our leadership team, and really kind of building from the book of how to lead with your strengths, and that's facilitated by Learning Together. We have a not to exceed 10,000. They're developing a variety of short 90-minute to 2-hour workshops for us staff to take part in, and the staff really enjoy learning more again about how themselves, but also how their strengths then lead them to leading their staff.
Public comment. Any more questions?
So what's the expected outcome for this? As far as how it affects students?
Well, I think when you work with leadership at your principals and your school psychologists and your assistant principals to develop leadership strengths and to identify those strengths and how you're developing teams at your school sites, whether it's supporting the learning community teams, the grade level teams, working from teacher strengths in those areas will have a direct implication for learning inside the classroom.
That's what I want to hear.
Any other questions? Motion please?
Second.
Carol, discussion.
I think it's a great way to role model, how it works. I know when Jean, I said, because this is similar to what I guess the next step, similar to what you did last year.
This is
With leadership.
specifically related to leading through strengths, but yes.
But I think it was interesting to watch the shifts when, and the one I was thinking of was Jenny, and just like the significance part was really, and there's a shift of like, right, of why this, which I think that's really, I think it's beneficial. I think that plays back out into the stories of the material.
Are any of these leadership team leaders?
At this point, no. No, so they bring their strengths.
So they're familiar with it. Any other discussion? Caitlin?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 5-0. And our last item, 29, board member requests for items for next meeting, requests for information or general comments. Jeff?
I noticed this was on the consent calendar, all the travel. I was wondering if we could bring this up as the policy that does this. I've never been any place that the chief executive officer doesn't approve this themselves, and we would just approve his travel request. So it would save a lot of paper, but I think it also gives people who are responsible for who have a budget and for approving should be the ones who make the decisions on this, not the board.
So we can go ahead and bring that over.
Yeah, I can look at
And what, and if we can go over that or not, or if it's.
Is that interest of the rest of the board to just examine that?
Because that call falls under consent.
Oh, yes, I have that for things. I went to the community health symposium today, I think it's really important to be part of that. They service so many of our students and great speakers, 6 great panelists, but I love Dr. Sam Martala, I've heard him before, and he's amazing. It went along with the book Dope Sick, dealers, doctors, and drug company that addicted America. So that was helpful because I've just been reading that, and some of our students are definitely involved. So get really good information for parents about how to get insurance to pay. It was very helpful. Then, let's see, I'm requesting kind of an update on Math Pathways as far as the plan for middle school students that are advanced or keeping our board promise to help provide for those that bubble up. Are there any changes in the AP Calculus orders now that AP Calculus is kind of embedded? How, just in general, how is the math program going? And I have an invitation from Next Gen, which, is the group in town of local residents and professionals with an emphasis on community involvement. They strive to engage the new generation in civic and philanthropic involvement through meetings, events, socials, and thereby obtaining a pulse on issues affecting local residents, businesses, government, and resources. And they do a lot with nonprofits, but they want to be on a lot of programs. They want to be involved in issues of the city that affect us and our children. It was kind of started, Jan, you know a lot of these
Oh, yeah,
people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so there goes.
a lot of
Nicole Anderson.
Nicole Anderson, yeah.
a lot of these people.
They're millennials.
Yeah, well, last week they had,
They invited
I didn't
the
see
city.
it. Yeah, they had,
Well, they invited the city, they did not invite us.
City council mixer.
right,
It was the city-
but
it
they
was to
did
get to
invite
the-
us, to
No,
come, not
they
specific,
did not invite the board.
but they said it was open, anyone
It was
could
open
come.
to the public, but it was primarily to the.
City council, I called it a city council mixer.
Yes.
Okay. Along those lines, they are asking us if we as elected board members would like to have a mixer again.
I don't know what the policy is on that, with all of us in a room.
So here's what they, here's the way they do
discuss
city
district
council.
issues, I mean, there'd be that.
No, the way the way they set the forum for city council,
Yeah, 'cause they were all.
okay, you know that then.
No, I don't know, because they were all there, right, all five?
Right.
Okay.
And it was set up that you don't, it's not to be involved in issues, it's just to kind of meet so you know each other, and so at a later date you bring up issues, you know who they are and they feel comfortable talking to you.
Off the top of my head, I have to think about it, I mean, I can't give an answer right now, how I just perceive the problem that whenever, when you, as a board member, when you encounter people, even at functions, they tend to wanna talk about something that they're concerned about in the district, and then you just need to always be really, really careful what you say. So it's, I don't know if the city council folks don't feel that way, I mean, that to me is something that you need to be really careful about. So,
Right, cause even if when we're exiting here,
I
and
don't
also,
think they wanna know what my hobbies are, I mean, I think they
they
wanna
wanna know
know
about the district.
about the district.
So even
And
like,
then they go to the other side of the room, and they talk to another board member, and they say, well, they said this over here, and then.
Well, I
Or
don't know
maybe
everybody, I
I
talked to
asked that in the
two
Brown
city
Act
council
discussion
people.
next week.
Yeah, you can ask that in the Brown discussion,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, let's
Okay,
ask.
I can tell them,
Yeah.
I can just tell them no if that's what you
No,
want.
that's not, that was
That's
not
what
the
I'm
answer, we said we
We
were
just
asking
don't
about
know,
Don't
yeah.
Okay.
Just don't
Yeah,
know,
we're gonna
because
find out
school
whether-
is such a different, unique subject, and most of these people that I know in that group are all parents.
Yeah, it's, this is.
Yeah, and so, I feel like they would come with school site issues, that would be I just would worry totally
My
about.
only request would be, from my point of view and clarification would be simply, if this is a group that's requesting that your attendance to create a mixer, they should come to a board meeting
well, that's what I
address
think
it.
too, yeah.
Well, Nicole Anderson's the one who asked me to do it.
No, but they need
But
to
they
come to
should
the
get
whole board and address the whole board.
So you want them all to come?
No, they could send it, or they could even send it through Victoria.
Correct.
So that it goes to everybody, and then it, exactly what their intent is. But we can start with that, asking for Brown Act clarification as to what our responsibilities are in connection with that if we do this. So I'll just wait to hear that. We'll
Get back to her.
and I think actually then it would come with a contact from Victoria to their representative, and that's Nicole Anderson, so.
And then my last is a question about, I got quite a few calls and emails about what happened to the video system at the last meeting.
And again, as I've done before, we just qualify that,
Quantify that
yes,
by,
5 calls, 10 calls, 50 calls.
probably 5 calls and 9 emails.
5 call community members, parents,
Mhm.
people who normally regularly watch.
I don't know, but the question is what happened, why didn't it work?
Well, I don't know when we have technical difficulties, if we ever really know the why, just like the same if your computer goes down to your house.
Well,
You get it attended to, but I don't know that you get the answer as to why. Certainly our desire is that it always works each and every meeting.
well, it was discovered at 2 o'clock that it didn't work, correct?
We worked on it, the
The-
entire time leading up to the meeting, to
Okay,
try to get it to be able to live stream. We had to shorten the lettering. I announced that
right,
at the meeting,
and you
that
said that
we
it
were
would
having
be
issues,
working like,
and that's not what I said.
I thought you said it wasn't live streaming.
I said it's not live streaming, but we believe it's recording. And the reason we believe it's recording is because we have a picture that we took, Mr. Morrison was there as well, that said Granicus was recording it.
Mhm.
It didn't record. I don't have an explanation for you. I know you approached staff and asked them without my knowledge as well.
You weren't here.
Regardless, the protocol and process for that sort of question is not to come into a staff office and ask. So I would
Okay,
request that you follow process. As I stated in that meeting, we were having issues. It was, we were identified, we believed the issue, we were working to address that issue, we believe we may have to replace the components. But as Jan pointed out, it's technology, there are issues that arise, that's why I went out of my way to make that announcement at the meeting, ahead of time, so.
Well, I spoke with Granicus several times about it, and they, they said it was not on their end, and they have a 24-hour hotline, and they wondered why it wasn't called.
Because when we did the recording, it said it was recording, so why would we call? I posed the question back to you, the recordings that our staff looked at
Mm-hmm,
physically said it's recording.
mm-hmm.
So why would we call help desk at Granicus to
Well,
ask them why
You
it said
saw
it was
there was a
recording?
problem.
But
Why
why is
would
a board
Granicus-
member calling Granicus? Why aren't you following our protocol to go to the superintendent? That's kind of shocking.
He wasn't
He
here.
has staff to help.
I
That's
did
our
come in and
protocol
talk
and
to this-
our.
I did, I came in to talk to the staff.
You have
No,
no
but you
right
don't.
to come in and
You're
speak
not
to
allowed
staff.
to.
We link to Jason, that's our protocol.
We have board policy that says you cannot do that to staff. It's intimidating for them.
It's not our role or our function.
Right, he has email, he checks email. If there's something urgent, he responds right away, if it's not urgent, he's on vacation, he'll respond whenever he sits down to respond, right, he'll take time to respond to emails and back up.
Well, it just seemed very suspicious that in 4 years, the first one didn't work, and that's what people.
So I don't understand why it's suspicious, because as I announced prior to the start of the meeting, at the report time, prior to any discussion that was had, that we were having issues. So if the view is that somehow it was suspicious, I don't understand that. I don't understand the lack of distrust that exists, that you call Granicus yourself. I was never asked the question about Granicus. I was very clear during that meeting what was happening. And in fact, we were so clear, Mr. Morrison took a picture of the screen because we were thinking it was sending it to Granicus. So if you would have asked me that question, I would have responded back to you, saved you a lot of time and effort, and I would have told you that we did exactly what we would expect to do. And beyond that, I do not know how else I can explain it to you.
Well, I will say that over the time since we've been doing this, I've had comments made to me that if the broadcast was sketchy or that people couldn't hear it, and I passed those on. I just passed it on to Dr. Deloria and saying, somebody was trying to watch and they couldn't get the sound, it was mostly with the sound. So that's,
Yeah, I passed that on too.
but not the process that we used to pass it on.
Any other business?
We need, Victoria reminded me, that as far as your request for the update on the various math pathways, we need to have consensus if the majority of the board wants staff at this point, and if they feel that they have the time right now to do that.
Has something changed with the pathways, or is there an update coming at some point for pathways?
We're not making any edits to Pathway at this point, so.
I don't need an update.
I don't have a problem with a brief update as long as they pick the time frame. In other words, if it was, at the end of the school year or something, or
If it fit into the calendar and which how the
right now there's
standard
a lot of
updates.
work going on, so it would be on their timeline. Yeah, you can comment on that too. Peggy, do you have anything?
I have nothing.
I just did go to Elmore PTA today, they had a nice attendance, which is good, Mr. Denny always gives a good report, and he really keeps things in balance, and it's such a difference to inform the elementary school parents, because a lot of it is more high school, and this is, but it was very well attended. And I just read, I wanted to share, because I think it's in reference to what Mr. Dixon was presenting to us with planning enrollment, that there was a reason, he was in the Times, it's across the state, school enrollment is declining, and districts, schools are facing that. And that it's more prevalent in some counties like Orange County, which they really feel is tied to housing prices. And so Inland Empire, some places are seeing maybe some people moving there, but definitely we're not isolated. So, and that's all I have. I have a motion to adjourn to our next regularly scheduled, our regular meeting next week on January 22nd, beginning at 6:15, although we have a meeting, joint meeting with the city